All right, so we're on social media everywhere. So we're streaming.
Our new YouTube channel,
Oh, and the what's the new YouTube channel?
Texas Real Estate Radio Network Daily.
Ooh, Texas Real Estate Radio Network
Yes,
Daily.
sir.
And then we're gonna have the Texas Real Estate Mastermind at some point. That'll be up and running.
We got that one going.
Okay, so that one's going already.
Yes, sir.
So we've got to work on my new show. That's the point of today's show. So for those of you who are watching on social media, we'll talk about it on terrestrial radio here in a minute. Got a couple of ideas, and I've literally been kicking some of these things around for over a year. So it's probably about time to go ahead and get it going. All right. Well, I guess I'll walk us in the show. Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Lots of crazy stuff going on today, actually last 2 weeks. We just had all of our mastermind folks in town, full house. Everybody was here. It was a standing room only at one point upstairs. We took everybody out Saturday night. We had a absolute blast. Stayed out way later than I expected, but that's fine. That's pretty typical. For those of you in the mastermind, we got a couple things coming up. The cruise, which I think we're doing some kind of like special deal for the first 20 folks that sign up. Now, typically this is that should be by cabin, if you will. So the first 20 cabins, because you can't I guess you could split it with somebody in the mastermind. It'd be kind of weird. But I think everybody in our mastermind's like married or has long-term girlfriends and boyfriends and all that stuff. So the first 20 cabins that we sell, we've got a special thing going. There's going to be a couple of y'all who are vendors who we're going to ask you to come on board with the cruise. It's in October. So we've got plenty of time to plan. And then what else is going on with the cruise? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, depending on where we stop, there's one stop in Mexico, and Cancun and Playa I know about like the back of my hand. So I think we're actually going to stop in Playa, which I've been to like 3 times already just this year alone. No, twice. I've been there twice this year alone. So we will get ample opportunity to run around the island. And then September, I think I'm in Cancun for 2 weeks. 1 week with Aaron Bancroft and all those guys with the Captain Legendary Band. And then I think I'm in there for another week for something Curtis has going on. But in any case, so I'll be in Cancun for like 2 weeks in September. And then right around October, then we're on the cruise. So I think I may just buy a place down there. It might be cheaper in the end. But in any case, what I want to talk about today, we'll talk a little about economic news. I'll give you some predictions. But one of the things I want to talk about, at least in today's show, is I want to start a new show. And we're going to continue this show. This will be, obviously, this is our flagship show, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. If you guys just want the typical kind of real estate news and real estate investing stuff that we share with y'all every single day, this is the place to get it. The new podcast. Did we just rename the YouTube channel, or we start a whole new one?
We renamed it.
Oh, we renamed it. Okay.
All the curated stuff is on Masterminds.
Okay, gotcha. So we just renamed it. It's the Texas Real Estate Radio Network Daily.
That one's a new one.
That one's a new one.
Yeah, the Mastermind one's renamed.
Oh, the Mastermind's a new one. Okay. So we're also starting we're renaming Mr. Texas Real Estate to, or the Texas Real Estate Radio Network to the Texas Real Estate Mastermind. So we're going through a whole rebranding right now. Mr. Texas Real Estate's not going anywhere. Still got our name at the top of the building over here. The team is still here. We're just going through a rebranding. And let me explain why that is. So people falsely assume that if you're in business for 5 years, you've, quote, made it. And that's not really true. So what ends up happening is the first year, if you're doing it right, the first year you're successful. You're like, wow, we're really successful. We did X, Y, and Z. This is great. So now let's double our business the next year. And whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh, they're about to be in for a rude awakening. So what ends up happening is year 2, they do a little bit better or a little bit worse than the first year, but they're kind of wondering, well, why didn't we do better? And the reason has to do with when you first get into your business year 1, you really don't know what you're doing. And truthfully, what's really going on is you don't have any expectations. And then after year 2, you falsely assume, oh, wow, since now we got a year's worth of experience, we can double our business or triple it. And it's like, that's not how that works. What actually happened is you gain some experience, but your skill set is such that you really haven't improved that much from a managerial standpoint. Grant Cardone says it this way, and I think it's the best way to say it. Your best decisions have gotten you to the point you're at now. So if you're not seeking outside mentoring, coaching, that sort of thing, in other words, development and really working on that development, it's not just people hire consultants all the time. Let's be honest what a consultant does. Consultant shows up, excrements, squawks, excrements, and leaves. That's really what, honestly, consultants just show up. They probably tell you what your subordinates told you should have been doing all along. Now you've just paid for it. And then when they leave, you just ignore the information. The problem is, I used to get this all the time. Jason, I got this great idea. This real estate center is a great idea. And it wasn't an original idea. And so people tell me, oh my gosh, like everybody's had this idea. Yeah, ideas are garbage. Ideas are absolute, utter garbage. Garbage. If you hear people run around and go, I got this great idea, it's a great idea, or so-and-so stole this idea, and there's this idea over here, I'm like, who cares? Who cares? An idea is 1% of success. 99% is execution. And when I mean execution, it really is execution bathed in growth. And I think that's where people miss those first couple years in their business. They start year one, no expectations. Oh my gosh, we're making money. Year two, they do marginally better, a little bit better, or a little bit worse. And then year three, they're like, okay, we got a year's worth of experience. Now we got 2 years worth of experience. Now year three, we're going to do these 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 things that we learned from year two that we should have implemented when we ended year one. And now we're doing a lot better. But they're still nowhere near the doubling of the business that they thought they were in year two. And here's why. Because so much personal development has to take place in order for people to really change. And I think that's where people make their biggest mistake. They falsely assume because I'm successful, or I hired a business coach, or I hired a consultant, that my next year is going to be even better. Really? You've got to internalize that stuff. I'm going through a whole mindset deal right now. And I'll tell you, it is not a fun process. But here's what I know. The person I'll be 12 months from now is going to be very different than this one now. Because I also know if we're going to continue to grow this business, we've got to grow in our mindset. We're kind of at that point now where it's mindset time. Don't get me wrong, there's some technical skills that always need to be enhanced. Always want to get better in sales, always get better in marketing operations. But our best decisions have got us to this place now. We own one of these Texas real estate investment centers. We want to put 14 more across the country. So the question isn't, Jason, what markets do you pick? The question is, do you have what it takes to be able to grow this business beyond one location? I see a lot of people say this, Jason, I can take my business nationwide. I'm like, can you really? You can barely operate here in Houston. Do you think it's easier to work remotely with a team in another marketplace? Because that adds an infinite number of complications. So the premise of the next show is we're going to start talking about these sorts of things. How do you continue to upgrade? How do you internalize? How do you continue to grow despite the fact that you're successful? And I worded it just that way for a reason. How do you continue to grow despite the fact that you're successful now? It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
That was clean.
You like that? It's kind of like the old shows. Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Got to apologize right now. I am drinking like 10 gallons of water a day. This whole fitness program that Patrick's got me on is just insane. It's absolutely insane. You know, I'm in the gym, and I'm struggling. I'm week 2. It is a struggle. I'm not even gonna try and make it sound like, oh yeah, I went to the gym today. Here's my pictures on Instagram. You know what those pictures of me would look like right after the gym? This guy looks like he's about to die.
It's like 2 hours a day
It's 2 hours a day. It's 2 hours a day. It is 2 hours, and I'm pushing it to get done in 2 hours. So, in any case, Pat's got me on this workout program. His wife's got me on her meal program, and then I'm working with Paul on this mindset coaching stuff. And it's like, man, there's a lot going on. I will tell you this: people talk about mindset. Oh, I'm going to change my mindset. I got a vision board, and I'm like, all that stuff is complete crap. Let me tell you what actually works, because I'm starting to figure this out now. What you have to do is break down your mental schemas. And you don't do that at a weekend retreat. What you do at a weekend retreat or with your performance coach is build a methodology in which you can expose. And let me change schema to something else. Negative belief is probably a good way to put it. So you've got negative beliefs, and you've got to expose that. So when you're working with your coach, you're exposing those negative beliefs. Then you're breaking it down to get to the core of where those beliefs are, and then you're changing those things. That doesn't happen in one counseling session. It doesn't happen in one weekend, Tony Robbins, rah-rah nonsense. It is a ton of work that you're doing every single day. And this is what we're really doing. We're reprogramming the brain. And the brain is an organ just like the muscle system is an organ. Like, muscles are no different than your brain. When I tell folks, like, hey, you've got to reprogram your brain, they're like, well, wait, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, how do you fix your thinking? It's really hard to fix your thinking if you're not working on it. Okay, well, how do you work on it? How do we know that we are upgrading our thought process? How do we know we're getting rid of those negative beliefs? What are the metrics in which we collect that show real progress from a mental health standpoint, from a coaching standpoint? In fact, I'm so excited about this stuff because I have read this stuff for years and nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about the Tony Robbins power, what is it? Infinite power stuff, and all the other books out there, Zig Ziglar, and of course I'm a big Jim Rohn fan, but nobody really breaks down, okay, you've got negative beliefs here. Let's expose what those negative beliefs are. Now, I'll give you a good example. These may not be conscious negative beliefs. So I firmly believe this, that most people are more scared of success than they are of failure. And the reason most folks are scared of success is because then you don't have any excuses. And man, now all that accountability is on your shoulders. I can't tell you the number of people that I've met that are, quote, successful, who have a victim-based mindset. They have it in their business relationships. They have it in their personal relationships. They have it in their intimate relationships. They're always a victim. Someone's always done something to them, or the situation has done something to them, or karma, or whatever nonsense. And the problem is, and this is what Jordan Peterson said, if you begin to take on the burden, you don't ask for a lighter load, you ask for wider shoulders. That's a classic Greek mythology from Atlas. Okay, well, what does that look like? So let's go back to this idea of negative beliefs. People talk about the abundance mentality all the time. Very few people live it. Very few people live it because it is really hard. So let me explain what the abundance mentality is. The abundance mentality is, I'm going to continue to do these things because I'm trying to achieve a goal. Even if things don't work out, I know it's going to work out in the end. So the abundance mentality in real estate, in fact, the scarcity mentality, which is the exact opposite, sounds like this. Jason, there's no real estate deals out there. Jason, the real estate market's not going to go up. It's going to crash. Like, you don't understand, it's going to crash. There's a crash coming because prices are going up. People who tell you there's a real estate crash coming typically are doing so because they don't believe in their model, or they don't have a model to begin with. So you may sit there and go, no, I believe there's plenty of deals out there and I have access to those deals, but deep down inside, you really don't believe that. Because where you invest your time and where you invest your money is outside of that belief. And this is how I know everyone is leading this life a complete, utter BS. I have everybody in the room and I say, all right, if you could go back 5 years from now and buy as many houses as you could, even paying 100% retail, would you do it? Everybody raises their hands. Oh my gosh, of course. I would buy everything I can get my hands on because the appreciation is crazy. They'd be worth double now. I do it. Okay. Why do you think the next 5 years is going to be different? Well, I mean, no, it can't be. It can't. It is, Jason, it's got to be different. Why does it have to be different? You tell me your model that says real estate is not going to do the same thing 5 years from now as it did 5 years in the past. Oh, no, it can't. Why can't it? Well, it just can't. Why can't it? It's easier for us to play the fantasy game of getting in the hot tub time machine and going back 5 years and buying real estate than it is sitting down right now and saying, okay, you're now 5 years back in time. What are you going to do? It blows me. Even if we go back a year ago or 2 years ago when we bought this building, I think it's 2 years this month. We closed on it May 15th, I think. The amount of money we made on buying an office building in the middle of COVID, when all of the so-called experts said that the office market's going to fail, they were all wrong. Commercial real estate is absolutely on fire. Farmland has been on fire for a decade, and there is no indication it's going to stop anytime soon. The same fundamentals 5 years ago that said that the market was going to continue to appreciate have gotten even better today. There's less inventory on the marketplace. There's more buyers. If you're sitting on the sidelines, I'll tell you this. If you're planning on sitting on the sidelines for the next 2 or 3 years, turn this radio show off and go do something else. This will be the best real estate market in the history of the world between now and 2028. There will be billionaires minted in single-family real estate. I kid you not. And it doesn't take Wall Street money, and it doesn't take a big fancy degree from some Ivy League school. You know what it takes? You to stop being scared, go buy a house, rent the stupid thing out, and do that about 20 times over the next 2 or 3 years. It's just that simple. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. These are pretty good.
Yeah, what is that? Like an HEB?
Yeah, HEB sparkling water with caffeine. I have a personal rule. I don't put alcohol in any of these things, like LaCroix or anything else, because then when I drink them, then I'd just be like, man, I need a Tito's in here. Something's missing. Yeah, and then it's like I can drink non-alcoholic beer, and I'm like, it's not bad, right? I can when I'm on my, I'm doing this right now. And so I'm like, I could totally do that. But then these things, because this thing would be awesome. Like with Malibu in it, it would be killer. Anyway, welcome back. Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We're talking about mindset today. So there's these negative beliefs that you've got, and you've got to bring them to light. And when you bring them to light, you explore your emotions around that negative belief you've got. And when you explore those emotional responses, there's a way to explore those emotional responses in which your anxiety goes from, let's say, a 7 or an 8 all the way down to a 1 or a 2. And then you can replace that negative belief with a positive belief. Now, let me explain something that's really important. This positive belief has to be bathed in truth. In other words, it can't be a lie. It's got to be something that's real. So there's a whole process of this mindset change. And I used to just poo-poo this stuff because I thought it was all ridiculous. And then I met with the performance coach I've got now, and I'm like, oh, now this makes sense. He goes, no, man, this is how you do it. I mean, he works with Guys have got severe PTSD, like really, really crazy stuff has happened to them in the battlefield. He works mostly with vets. And reprogramming these guys' brains is literally saving their lives. Reprogramming these negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative beliefs into positive ones, and then they're able to live just absolutely incredible lives. That's the whole point of this process. And everybody's got them. Everybody's got their insecurities. Everybody's got their nonsense. Everybody's got their... But if you never explore those things in a productive way, you can never change your belief system. And like I said, it's not watching YouTube videos about motivation. All that stuff is fine. Just tell you, all that stuff's great. Going to Tony Robbins is fine. Watching stuff with Jim Rohn is fine. But, and repeating mantras is just fine. But when you want to get into the real hardcore work, it is a lot of work, and it's every single day. And don't get me wrong, journaling is fine. I did that for a while. I still do it. But how do you rewrite your brain? How do you change your belief system so that when you change your belief system, it now becomes who you are? One of my favorite quotes from a buddy of mine is, how long do I have to fake it till I make it? Well, you don't have to fake it till you make it if you change your belief system. And then at that point, well, Jason, I feel like I'm just running the game all the time. You have become the game. You are now the game. We were having breakfast this morning. And by the way, Pat, if you're watching, I had an egg omelet with ham, bacon, and sausage. That's all, and salsa. I put salsa on it. I had no carbs. And I crushed that omelet like I used to eat when I was like 18. I just destroyed it. I almost took off a couple of fingers of the guys I was eating next to me. I mean, it was just ravenous. So I'm sitting there at breakfast and we're talking about this issue. And one of the guys asked me, he said, well, how many deals are you contracting? I said, I could literally contract 30 a week. I could buy 30 a week if I wanted to. And they're like, okay, well, why don't you? Well, we've got some operational things we got to sort out before we get to that point. Like, you could really buy 30 a week? Yeah, not even working part-time on it. Like 50% of my time. Like, we could bang out 30 of these things a week. A buddy of mine reached out to me yesterday for a 50-house package and 12 quadplexes. I got another one sitting in my inbox that we're in on. We're just waiting to hear back from the seller. It's 150 houses. And I firmly believe there are more of those out there. I know because I see them every day. I grew in the abundance mentality because I'm experiencing it. That's actually one way to change your mindset. You have a little bit of faith. You're changing your mind about some things. You're assaulting these negative beliefs, these negative schemas. You're replacing them with positive ones that are bathed in truth. And then you're executing an operational plan that allows you to experience the truth of that new belief. And the truth in that new belief, then, with some experience, builds your confidence. So when people ask me, Jason, how do you get so confident about the market? And I'm like, it's real simple because I'm here every day in it. But you can't get there if you never write a check. So many people get into this business and they're like, yeah, man, I'm okay. I totally get in the marketplace. But I don't know. $50,000 sounds like a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Wait till you're writing a $500,000 check. This 150 house package, we're probably going to end up writing a $7 or $8 million check. It's $8 million in construction. How are we going to do $8 million in construction? We did $6 to $7 million last year. We have to double our construction company just to be able to take on this package this year. Well, have you ever run a $16 million construction company? Nope. But guess what? We're about to find out. When we first started buying commercial real estate, have we ever owned commercial real estate? estate? Nope. We do now. You're not born into this world with all the skills that you need to be successful. That's just not how it works. However, if you've got this growth mindset, you're assaulting these negative beliefs, replacing them with positive beliefs, then you're able to take on these new challenges. I think some of the worst advice, and Jordan Peterson has said this, the worst advice you can give somebody is, you're fine just the way you are. That is absolutely atrocious. Jordan Peterson says it this way. He said, look, this person could be suicidal. They could be having all these other just crazy thoughts, all sorts of issues. And then you just went and told them, oh, you're fine how you are. I'm fine how I am. This is ridiculous. And we all know that not to be true. Oh, I'm fine how I am. No, you're not. I guess, I mean, if you want to be who you are for the rest of your life, that's fine. I mean, that seems kind of, I don't know. That's a Jim Rohn thing. I mean, you know, I'm seeing this meme right now on Facebook, and it says like 10 years ago, median house price was $150,000. Minimum wage was $725. And now the median house price is $500,000, and minimum wage is still $725. I'm like, who could afford a $150,000 house on a $7.25 hour minimum wage? Are you telling me that we have to go to the lowest common denominator, someone who's been on minimum wage for the last 10 years, and somehow lift them up? You've had 10 years of growth and development. Libraries are free. I mean, I don't, all of the knowledge in the world is probably on your phone, which people who make $7.25 an hour seem to have. What have you been watching the last couple of years? I got to tell you, until like my last I hadn't seen any of the new like TV shows and Netflix and all that. Like I have no idea what's going on. Like I didn't start watching Ozarks till like a year ago, and I'm like, I mean, it's okay. Like you got a choice. Like, what are you going to consume when you get home every day if you want to improve? Now, I'm not saying don't watch some shows every now and then. That's ridiculous. I watched some movies this weekend. You got to have some downtime. You got to let the brain rest a little bit. But what are you consuming to get better? It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
Last season of Ozark, man.
That's what yeah. And so now I got to watch it, right? Because I think I've already watched, maybe I'm 2 seasons behind or 3. I don't know. All right, ready to go? It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. All right, let's talk about the point of the show. The point of the show really wasn't about you and mental mindset, because that's kind of what I'm going through right now. Really, the point of the show is I'm going to start another show, and we're still going to do this one. Rob wants to do his on retirement. What is he calling it? Like 3 years to retirement? I don't know. He's got some retirement show he wants to do. So Rob wants to do a retirement show. I want to do a show, and I've talked to Rob and Will, not Rob, my business partner, Rob, Will, Brian, bunch of guys. And I've talked to him about doing a new show that is somewhat, some of this mental mindset stuff, some health stuff, some kind of a variety show. And I don't want to make it like Joe Rogan's thing. I'm not really, I mean, it's kind of cool, but I don't find it like really all that great. Sit there and smoke weed and be goofy for, 3 hours. So, I'm thinking some kind of inspirational, kind of aspirational show. We're going to throw in some economics in there. We'll talk a little about politics. It's really just kind of, what's come across my desk, if you will, and some of the challenges that we've all dealt with in our lives. I'll have Patrick on the show talk about boxing and fighting and training and all that sort of stuff. So, like I said, I'm looking for probably a theme for the show and a name for the show. We've had a couple of different names floated out there, and they will probably be the title of the third book, which I'm writing 2 books at the same time right now. And the third book is a lot of the journaling and the things I'm learning right now as I'm going through this growth phase. So got a couple of working titles right now, but I think more important is what would be an interesting show for people to watch. I mean, it doesn't have to be, bottle service at the club and Lamborghinis. And truth be told, that kind of gets boring after a while. I'm good for that like a couple times a year, but I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it to be, if I'm being completely transparent with everybody. Party lifestyle is great and all, but I can do it any night of the week. And, it's kind of funny. It's like once you start to get around stuff, things start to get normalized. So it was like when we had the private jet service for a while. It was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But after that, after you take a couple photos for Instagram, you're like, it's just getting on it's Uber for the sky. Like it's okay, it's cool. Take a couple pictures. All right, whatever. And even the cars at this point, it's like I don't really get excited. I got the Lambo this weekend, so we're going to pick up the new Lambo Evo. Pick it up on Friday, and I'll be zipping around town, and it'll be fun for a little bit. But I'm already like, yeah, I don't know. Bring the Porsche back. Can I have the Porsche back? Anyway, so, and by the way, by way of update, all of my vehicles are now officially in the shop. All of them are after my truck got broken into this morning. So everything is in the shop. And I'm going to be riding my bike around town until I think tomorrow at about lunchtime. So, and actually both my bikes are here, so it works out. And not motorcycles, like mountain bike and road bike. So anyway, but I think it'll be a fun show. I just want to do something a little bit different, get outside of real estate, even though we'll still talk a little bit about real estate, investing, that sort of thing. But I think some of the things that I'm learning and some of my guests are learning, at least over the last year or two, on growth in their businesses, growth personally, all that sort of stuff would be really interesting. So I don't know, just throwing it out there. If you guys have got any ideas, shoot me an email, jason@mrtxre.com. It's jason@mrtxre.com. Would love to get your feedback. Just about everybody in town wants to host our show. So could be at some really high-end bars and restaurants. Other businesses. Freedom has got their offices almost done, and I thought about approaching Freedom Supercars to do a podcast from build a studio, like a little studio in the corner, and then you got all the cars behind you. So, and then we can get car guys in there to just talk about car stuff. Like head sales guy for Indigo, Ace would love to come down. I shouldn't say head sales guy, he's the manager of that whole thing now. And then bring some of the Ferrari guys in and some Lambo folks in and all that sort of thing. So some car race guys, entrepreneurs are also big into cars. I know Sam would do the show in like a heartbeat. He runs Garage Assetti, which is this fantastic shop that's right over here down the street. But anyway, so we've just got a million ideas and really just looking for a little bit of feedback, what people would like to see. Otherwise, I'm just going to start the show. We'll just do it. So I also want to do a show, maybe not day. It could be daily, from my house. Whenever I see some economic news I like or something, just get on 15, 20 minutes, bang out a show. It'll be a YouTube only show. I mean, it'll have a podcast component to it, but if you want to ask questions, you'll have to be on it live. So I'll have to put together a schedule for that. But yeah, just a bunch of different ideas we've got bouncing around with the intent of, obviously growing our brand and growing our market share and that sort of thing. So, I'll go back to the very beginning of this thing. People always say, well, Jason, you must be doing real estate education to give back. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm here for deals and money. Like, I'm straight up like, I'm here to get paid, right? Yeah, let's not get this all twisted. This isn't an altruistic exercise here. We do charity stuff to get those bonus points. But at the end of the day, this is an exercise in doing more deals and bringing in more money. So that's my intent here. And sure, there's some give back component there. And then really it's, if my kids can go back, I'll tell you, when we first started the radio show in 2016 under Right Path, the idea was I didn't want to do a radio show about real estate after I'd already been in real estate 20 years and was wildly successful. Like that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It's kind of like, well, back in my day, we used to buy real estate with credit cards. Like that doesn't happen anymore. That's like nonsense you read on, some blog somewhere or on Facebook. But the idea was, all right, so we've started this business. We're relatively successful. It would be fun if you were able to go back in the archives and then watch the progression. And so, especially with, I think, this mental and physical health improvement thing that we're on right now, it'd be a lot of fun to see what that looks like and how that takes shape over the next 12 months. So in any case, that was the idea for the show. If you guys are interested in any of this stuff, or you got guests that we should interview that everyone's going to say, we'll have Elon Musk on the show. I'm like, All right, I could probably get a word to Elon, but he's kind of busy. So yeah, it'd be great to have Elon on the show. But guests that you guys would like to see on the show that you have personal connections with, like Jason, you want to interview this guy, you want to interview this guy. It'd be really great to have these folks on the show. So like, absolutely, we could totally do that. Shoot me an email, Jason at mrtxre.com. Now, this is what we're not going to do. This isn't, oh, you ought to have me on the show because I'm an expert on notes that our business sells. I'm like, you're not on my show, dude. Like, that's not interesting to anyone. Nobody cares. But if there's something of real value that you could bring, really that you would like to see someone that you've seen or someone that you admire that's in your friend circle, it's in your professional contacts, shoot it over to me, Jason at mrtxre.com. And would love to have a conversation. But like I said, I mean, this is kind of the idea behind the show is, how do you continue to grow, how do you continue to get better every single day? You're already successful, and despite your success, you're still continuing to challenge yourself and grow. And I think that's what makes the difference between people who are, quote, successful, that society deems successful, and people who are successful. And I'll bring it around. This whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing is absolutely heartbreaking to watch. It is absolutely awful. And people have speculated, mostly, I would believe, incorrectly on why this whole thing went south. Like, you're Johnny freaking Depp, dude. Like, when a chick does that in your bed, like, throw her out, go find another better girl, right? The problem is that if you guys are following the trial, he was so mentally abused by his mother, he sought out those relationships in his intimate relationship. He never assaulted that negative schema, that negative, those negative thoughts he had, that he didn't deserve something better. That's the sad part of this whole Johnny Depp thing. He never really worked out why he sought those types of relationships in the first place. And because he never did that, that's the kind of person he invited in his life, and it's costing him hundreds of millions of dollars. So, in any case, guys, that's the whole point of the show. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back here in a couple of minutes. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I guess I'll walk us in the show. Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, because that adds an infinite number of complications. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Got to apologize right now. I am drinking like a show, Jason Bible. Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Next 2 or 3 years. It's just that simple. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Something's missing. Yeah, and then it's like I can drink non-alcoholic beer, and I'm like, that you've got. And you've got to bring these negative beliefs back. Jason Bible, Texas. Simple. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate. Some downtime. Got to let the brain rest a little bit. But what are you consuming to get better? It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Show. All right, let's talk about the. It's Jason Bible, Texas. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back here in a couple of minutes. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.